You say Twitter is relevant and dollars eventually follow relevancy. So explain to us why you brought Toutiao into this as well. It's a Chinese news and information platform that's privately held. What can it tell us about where Twitter is headed?
It looks like we're having some technical difficulty. You got it?
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Did you hear my question?
Okay, so I heard you asked about Toutiao.
Yes.
So last week, Toutiao was raising money at they estimated around $75 billion. I'm not saying Toutiao's worth $75 billion. Let's just say $60 billion, $50 billion, whatever it may be. The important part is the format of it. And if you look at the shareholders of Twitter, the larger shareholders, they discussed this can go to the same format, which is the next level of social media, social communication that we've seen. Toutiao has just taken over. It's dominant in China. Not dominant, it's really, obviously through 75 billion, you could see the phenomenon it is. And that's what we have the possibility with Twitter. More importantly, what we saw last week, the one news story that no one can get enough of, the Elon Musk LBO story. The amazing part is it was announced on Twitter, and no one questioned the medium. People said, does he have the funding? Does he not have the funding? No one said, discounted it, said it was only on Twitter. We just see Twitter. If you go to any news, look at Bloomberg, you have an agreement and a deal with Twitter. It's gone to a different level of relevancy, whereas a few years ago, people were writing its eulogy. Not anymore. Right now, it looks like it's here, and the dollars will follow. And as I said, Dorsey is our horsey. He was on the cover of this week's Barron's, and he's done a great job running two companies.
Dorsey is our horsey. I wonder, did it take a long time to come up with that?
It did, actually. It really did.
All right. Well,
went through a lot of things before that.
Okay.
And most importantly, they put up a quarter last quarter, and I understand it went down. A lot of it was in sympathy to Facebook, and stocks are put in buckets. Social media ETFs that is put there, but the quarter wasn't that bad. The concerns about the monthly active users is small. You're talking about a company with a strong 10-year plan. Them cleaning up the site's a good thing. So I think Dorsey was smart by not going into too much granular detail about the MAUs.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of highlight what you were talking about, Twitter monthly active user growth has been slipping. But one question, you did point out in your note that most all of this year's most important news in finance, sports, and politics has broken on Twitter. How does Twitter monetize Donald Trump?
I mean, it monetizes through traffic. Traffic, more ads, simple as that. And you say Trump, it's funny because when Trump was initially using Twitter as a medium, the concern was, is he going to push people off Twitter? So, and as much as he didn't, I wouldn't attribute the success of Twitter recently to Donald Trump exclusively at all. You're seeing, listen, the Kardashian sisters are in a tweet feud right now, something they couldn't do on Instagram. The World Cup was a big push to Twitter. Yesterday, as Tiger Woods was in contention at a major, you saw that was tweeting up on the Twitter sphere. So things are, and most of all video, short form video. So you're seeing things, the NFL, things happening that have gone way beyond Trump. It's not a Trump story. It's a relevancy story.
Right. And as you point out, there's an exchange of ideas on Twitter, and that's a platform where we see that consistently. But along with ideas, there's also an exchange of vitriol as well. And Jack Dorsey and Twitter's safety team have been trying to figure out what kind of content violates Twitter's corporate policies, the nuance of defining what they call dehumanizing speech. What is your confidence that Jack Dorsey can get this right when companies like Facebook or Reddit are struggling so much with it?
I mean, that's a problem. It's a problem in general about freedom of speech versus a platform. I'm a stock person. I'm sure I have confidence in management. They'll make the right decisions. I know Facebook's under a lot more stress right now because of the Cambridge Analytica scandal. I was talking to someone, and maybe one of your producers this morning. I remember when I was a kid, if you remember those daily newses, that Bat Boy or a senator's an alien, and if something was fake news, it was kind of you understood it was fake news because there was so much information out there. Mm-hmm. If you remember those tabloids at the supermarket. Yeah. So right now, I personally look at the InfoWars or the Alex Jones saying, if you don't believe Sandy Hook happened, go to Google. There's enough information out there on the other side.
Right.
But I don't run these companies, and I have confidence that the Twitter team will make the right decisions long term for the company.
So, Andrew, you're predicting that Twitter shares are going to rise to $52 per share in the next 52 weeks. You have been remarkably prescient when it comes to Twitter. What's the catalyst going to be here for the rest of the universe to wake up to your
realization?
First
of all, I think they'll start getting a higher multiple than they currently have, because they'll start getting credit for their higher user engagement and for their video business. And then I think people will understand the Twitter business more. I put something in the report which was interesting. It's also like a default customer service, the way you can connect to corporations. I bought a pair of sunglasses last week. They broke. I just went right to Twitter, to the site. Where did I do it? They responded immediately. And you see that with airlines, and it's going a lot farther beyond that. And once people understand the capabilities, they'll assign a higher multiple, and I think the ad revenue will be there also to support it. So I remember when Facebook was 30, then 40. You didn't buy it at 40. Did you buy it at 50? Did you buy it at 60? Now, I'm not saying this is going to 180 or 190 at all, but I do believe it's one of those stories that will continue to go and go, because the key thing is this: as long as it's relevant, the money's going to follow.
So you mentioned that Twitter is where people go for the exchange of ideas, that it should not be lumped with other social media companies, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Snapchat, or something else. So then who then is Twitter's biggest competitor right now?
I mean, that's the genius part of it. They really don't have competition. I mean, I remember saying when I was, I remember buying LinkedIn with the same theory, like, wow, who's really competing against LinkedIn? But right now, as for Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, they've pretty much let Twitter be Twitter. And when it comes to how people think and the thought of ideas, or if it's, they have a lot of competition in short form video, but not in that aspect. So there is none. I mean, they obviously compete for ad dollars against anyone, but I think Twitter's going to be a wonderful alternative. The fact that they have had more quality users and scraped them out, there have been comments from Unilever saying they think that's a good thing.
Andrew,
so they will take ad dollars. They'll take ad dollars from Facebook, but the product is not a direct competitor. There's overlapping, but not direct competition.
Very, very quickly, Andrew, you mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn got purchased by Microsoft. Are you looking for Twitter to be bought by someone?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Obviously, the three main companies would be Microsoft, Google, or Apple. Just because it's such a part of our fabric, what Twitter's become. Now, they might not want the controversy involved in it, those companies, but I wouldn't doubt it whatsoever. I think it's a $25 billion market cap right now.
Yeah.
Completely small. It's nothing compared to the influence it has. You had a segment a half hour ago about unicorns. I wonder if Twitter was a private company right now, I would venture to say their valuation would probably closer to 45 or 50 billion.
All right, so how are you betting on your conviction that Twitter is undervalued right now?
Oh, I bought the stock. When this stock sold off on earnings, I watched. How much of the stock did I buy?
Yeah, I mean, like, how big is your bet on the company?
Oh, I don't discuss that. I mean, if we're talking about dollar terms or percentage of portfolio, I mean, it's a sizable long position for me.
All right. Thank you so much. Citron founder Andrew left. Really interesting to speak with you. Twitter declined to comment to us about your report, about Citron's report. We should also point out that Bloomberg does partner with Twitter for our TikTok content.